Hey there, everybody. So today we're going to be planting a basil plant. Um, it's a wonderful plant. It smells fantastic. But again, we're just going to do some potting, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the basil plant. So here it is. Let me bend this down a little bit more so you can see. Yeah, so we have our gorgeous basil plant. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set it aside for a second. Oh, and we need to put on our personal protective equipment, so gloves. Again, we don't want blisters. Put the gloves on, one at a time. Now the basil plant, it's an interesting plant. It comes from Africa and Southeast Asia is usually where it comes from. But people ship it over for many reasons. You can make it for a lot of different recipes. I mean, people have used this as a recipe for many things. And it's very versatile. It's too small now, but I'll show you after I put it in. So first let's put the basil in. Let's get it planted up. So I'm going to make right in the center so its roots can grow as far down in this pot as possible. And the soil's already been, if you can see some of the white, that's just fertilizer. Poison to you and me, but plants love it. So again, we just make this little indentation. I usually use the back of the shovel just to kind of flatten it out and make sure that I have enough space down there. And again, very carefully because it's kind of a tall plant, as you can see. And what we want to do, take the tag out, and basil, Emerald Towers from Annie's Annuals. Since it's tall, we want to be very careful because it could snap. If it snaps, we'd be in trouble. So we don't want that to happen. I just kind of let the debris, because more of this fertilizer is falling in there. I just want to slowly pop it out of this, as we've seen before. And look at all those beautiful roots. So those roots are going to want to grow. So they're going to want to grow deep down. So far, so good. Then we're going to set it in there. Once it's settled nicely, then we're going to pack it in with the rest, or pack it in, sorry, with, I broke off a little one. See, this is why we want to be careful. It smells great, but we want to be careful. And we pack it in with this soil here. And there you go, you have yourself a nice planted basil plant. Again, it comes from Africa and Southeast Asia. Usually what you do, once it grows into a bigger plant, what you'll want to do is you snap it off right at the base of it, right at the stem. And you're going to break it off. And you just take a little bit, because actually basil goes a long way. What I like to use it is if you want to make green pasta, it's called, and you want to make a pesto sauce, then you definitely need to have basil. That's what it's good for. Also, if you're making, say, like a tomato soup, and the funny thing is that basil and tomatoes grow at the same time. So what you do is once you pick your tomatoes, you have your basil plant, you just get a pot and you mix everything in together. If you have, I forget what they're called, but it's a grinder. But what you do is you just kind of mix it all together, and then you have some wonderful tomato soup with basil in it, and it's gorgeous. It's aromatic. It tastes unctuous. It's just it's wonderful. But first thing you do, not first thing, but but one of the first things you do once you planted a plant, as we've discussed before, is we need to water it. So I've got it on the shower setting. I'm going to sit back a little bit. I don't want to get the computer or myself wet. I'm going to keep it on a low setting. And we're going to water it in there. It creates a nice happy home for the plant, because what happens is that once you plant it, it actually becomes shocked a little bit, because it's like, what just happened to me? So you want to make it feel at home. That should be enough water. And there we have it. A nice planted basil plant. And for our garden and program, I can get this stuff at Annie's. But there's lots of nurseries around. But we can definitely plant stuff like this, and then we can have cooking classes, like I said, with the tomato soup. I'm not the greatest with pesto, but I would try it, and we would get it done. But it would be fun. It would be an interesting experience. So we have planted our basil plant, and class is over. It wasn't a very long class, but hopefully you learned a lot. All right. Peace, everybody. Miss ya. Bye.